Star Wars The Heart of the Jedi by Kenneth C. Flint. Chapter 17. And I was swinging past the Trigora system on the way back home from a routine drop off when I found you stalled there, mate, the furry captain was explaining to Luke. Lucky thing for you. A few more seconds and you'd have bought it for sure. Ewok's voice was quite gruff and gravelly, but the words were still clear enough for Luke. He and the captain sat in the main cabin of the tow ship, a relatively tiny room considering the square craft's overall size. Still, it managed to be a cozy, den-like place. Thick rugs patterned in soft greens and browns hid the stark metal walls. Woven grass mats covered the hard floor. The young Jedi and his host were seated upon these, a small table between them. Large pottery mugs filled with steaming, fragrant drink sat upon it. I know how close it was, believe me, Luke told him, and I'm really grateful for your pulling me out. He paused, then added a bit more awkwardly. I'm sorry I reacted that way when I first saw you, Captain Thatch. It's just that I didn't expect to meet one of your people way out here. I'm pretty far from home, I'll grant you, Thatch growled in agreement. Fine line of work's a bit unusual for my kind. The captain's own look, for an Ewok, was fully as unusual as his chosen vocation. Compared with the simple creatures of his home planet, Thatch's appearance was quite a dashing one, or as dashing as a small, chubby, bear-like beings could be. He wore a short vest, his only clothing, made from rich gold brocade. A crimson scarf was tied in a sash around his waist, and a second formed a band about his head. A large patch of leather covered the right eye, added to the Soldier of Fortune flavor. Luke lifted his mug and sipped the hot liquid. Very good bark tea, complimented. And this room, it's really nice too. I feel like I'm back in the hut of an Ewok village. Well, I've always brought a bit of home with me, Thatch said. Helps keep me in mind when the quiet old days. Why did you leave there? Well, I was always an adventurous lad. Trader fell had a breakdown on our little moon. Let me help him with repairs. The time he was ready to go, we were fast friends. Offered me a job, he did, and I took it. Been roaming the galaxy ever since. You speak basic very well, noted. When you get about as much as I do, you've got to have lots of languages down pat. Deal with all kinds, I do, in all places. Been very busy with my operation, too. Or makes for lots of business, you know. Ships in distress, hulks abandoned. Lots of good salvage. So that's been my life. Now, what about you? Me? Said Luke, taken off guard by the abrupt question. Aye, mate. The captain sat forward, fixed his one sharp, dark eye, inquiringly. Luke. Just how do you come to be floating out there alone in that overgrown space trash? I guess you can say I was just traveling around, hedged. Just visiting. No one just visits nowadays, Thatch bluntly told him. Out of Tatooine, judging from your direction, he shrewdly surmised. A great hurry, too. I like traveling fast, Luke said, trying to sound casual. Really? Ewok sat back and took a drink of tea while he considered, then said musingly. You know, I picked up an Imperial transmission on the way here. Seems a young fellow like you crossed some big fracas in Mos Eisley. They'd like very much to find him again. He looked at Luke's cloak. You wouldn't happen to have a lightsaber under there, would you now? Luke stiffened. His hand slid under the cloak to grasp the weapon's hilt. Easy, lad, Thatch smoothed. You're with a friend here. I've no love for the Empire to start with, and I'd surely not be causing trouble for a man who's helped my people. I don't know what you mean, said guardedly. Calm now, Thatch prodded. I haven't lost touch with the home tribe. The Alliance only left our planet a short while ago. Besides, everyone knows about the young Jedi who helped get rid of the Imperial base there. Skywalker, is it? Luke stayed wary. Why do you think I'm him? A young man with a lightsaber paired with an old blue droid running from Imperials and just leaving what was Skywalker's home planet? That's a heap of coincidences, mate. If you're not him, you surely should be. Okay, Luke admitted. I'm Luke Skywalker, but I'm not running from the Imperials. Not really. There's supposed to be a truce. So I've heard, Thatch said skeptically. But you're still out on something more than a pleasure cruise, aren't you? I'm trying to get somewhere. It's a long way from here, in the unknown regions, that's why I got that ship. Unknown regions? Ewok was impressed. A long way indeed. Some alliance business? No. Business of my own. Luke considered what he'd said, then amended. I mean, it's something that only involves me. Well, I'm doing it separately from the New Republic. Anyway, I can't really talk about it. Secret, eh? And important too, I'd wager. The door to the room slid open, and R2D2 rolled in. It was accompanied by another droid, a metal ball fitted with a dozen varied appendages which floated along in the air. Ah, Mac, Captain addressed the ball. Have you finished the diagnostics? Aye, aye, Captain. It returned in a scratchy drone of voice. The R2 unit and I went over all systems. We both agree. The ship is a loss. Damage irreparable. Irreparable, Luke said in dismay. R2, did you come up with the same diagnostic? It bleeped and twittered an affirmative answer. No need no need to doubt Mac, Thatch told him. If it was fixable, he'd be the one who could do it. Seems like you're without transport. I guess so, Luke said in frustration. Well, Ewok said heartily, that puts old Captain Thatch in the way of playing the Samaritan. Couldn't do less than give a ride to you. That's nice of you, Luke said graciously, but I'm supposed to go alone. You could take me to another settlement, though? One with ships? Only one about here is back on Tatooine, and they're looking for you there. The way you want to go, fields get thicker. Nearly solid they are between you and that sector of yours. Truce or not, seems to me you'd want to avoid meeting them. But they know me. They'll let me right through. I can't ask you to get involved, I told him. You're not, mate, he said brightly. I'm volunteering. Look, I'll not press you on your mission nor interfere in any way. Just let me be of service. It's my way of repaying you for the help you gave my people. Luke considered. Well, in any case, I don't have more money to get a new ship, and my ship's going to be near worthless for trade in. She shrugged in resignation. Looks like there's not much choice. If you think you can trust an old scoundrel like me, I said with a grin. Luke eyed the little being, considering. Thoughts of the aboriginal Ewok people battling valiantly against the mechanized might of the Empire went through his mind. They were followed by an image of one other self-proclaimed scoundrel who had come to be one of Luke's most trusted friends, Han Solo. Seems I've had pretty good luck with that, Luke told Thatch, smiling in return as he thrust out a hand. I accept. Captain swallowed his hand in a furry paw. The Star Destroyer still hung in orbit above the sterile surface of the one-time smuggler's planet called Pelkadar. Below it, the dead lands with their wide scattered peaks stretched away to the curving horizons. Nothing moved there. Then, on one distant rim just within sight of the ship, something peeked up from the hole atop a small cone. It was a gray metal ball, not much larger than a fist, looking quite smooth and featureless. But as it cautiously lifted further into the open, the lid slid up on one side, revealing a lens. This mechanical, unwinking eye began to slowly swivel about. It panned the scene at ground level, tilted upward to scan, then froze as it pointed at the gleaming splinter of the warship high above. On the side opposite the lens eye, a very small antenna telescoped out, and a tiny light on its tip began to frantically wink. The remote sensor was sending an electronic message of what it saw down to the hole behind it, along the vertical shaft into the shadows far below. There, well into the concealment of the dark and the intervening layers of rock, Millennium Falcon hung, grappled to the sheer wall by its landing claws. Inside the ship's cockpit, Han Solo gazed at the remote's transmitted image of the Star Destroyer on one of his sensor monitors. Damn, he said irritably. That Imperial's clunker's still hanging on out there. There was a responding grunt, and Chewbacca appeared from under the console with both paws full of tools. He growled a brief message to Han. You got it working, Chewie? Han said with elation. Well, okay. But look, keep at it, will ya? Try and get the port stern shield up, too. I'm gonna go brief the others on what's going on. He went back into the central lounge. Valadian and Leia were seated on the couch at the hologames table, the old man slumping defeatedly. Gowan sat alone on the lounge's bunk. The still shut down 3PO was now propped against a bulkhead. Senator and Princess were conversing in subdued tones, stopped and looked to Han as he came in. A few systems are out, he reported. Nothing major. We've got full life support and weapons, and the hyperdrive's okay. Shields, well, those I'm not too sure of. We can fly out of here, if you ever leave. I cannot believe that Tharkus would do something so monstrous, Valadian said, clearly still in shock. He was desperate to stop the peace talks, said Leia. Yeah, Han agreed. That's what I figured too. It explains all the firepower. He's planning to make sure he got rid of all the witnesses so there wouldn't be anyone left to finger him. Yes, but he missed me, said Valadian. He drew himself up and a keen edge of determination came into his voice. And when I get back, I'll raise an outcry against him. He'll be discredited, prisoned, and destroyed. His precious military will only lose more power. He paused, now puzzled. But it's strange. He's usually a clever man. I don't understand how he believed he could gain by this. Well, what I want to know is how he found out where we were, said Leia. She looked to Han. Was there a traitor in the base? He shook his head. Nobody there knew me. Just me. You know, I didn't tell anyone till we left. And whose side are you on, mercenary? Gowan said accusingly. Be quiet, Gowan, Leia told him sharply. Han would never do that. For all his faults. Gee, thanks, said dryly. I'm touched. She ignored him, addressing Valadian. Senator, what about your side? All information on the meeting was kept absolutely secret from everyone outside our group, particularly the military, he said. Only I knew this location, and like Captain Solo, I kept it secret until we left. Then somebody passed word to this Tharkus after we left, said Han. Somebody who came along on this peace mission was a traitor. If it was one of my comrades, then he must have known he might be committing suicide, Valadian said. I find that hard to believe. I knew them all too well. That only leaves one of us, said Han. All of their eyes went at the same time to the switched-off droid. You think it's 3PO? Said Leia. Don't you? He returned. I mean, he went crazy on me. He said we should all die, and he called everyone in the Alliance scum. Seems like pretty fair evidence to me. But he's our friend, she argued. He's been loyal to our family for years. He's a droid, Leia, Han pointed out. 3PO I've seen lately sure isn't the one we know. He's been messed with by the Empire somehow. I'll bet. He went to the intercom panel and pressed a call button. What are you doing? She asked. We're going to find out, he answered. There was a growl from the speakers. Chewbacca responded from the cockpit. Chewie, said Han, get on back here and bring your tools. Got a little exploratory surgery I want you to do. Exploratory surgery or robot surgery? C-3PO's gold head rested alone atop the work table of the lounge's technical station. Around it on the floor were scattered the rest of his disassembled parts. Chewbacca was busily setting up a small machine and running leads from it to the massive wires protruding from the droid's neck. Han, Leia, and the others watched the process, fascinated. Once Chewie gets the analyzer hooked up, you can probe around inside that metal skull, Han explained. Maybe we can figure out just what's going on in there. It's still hard to believe that he was working for the Empire, Leia said regretfully. Han picked a tiny metal disc up from the table. Yeah, well, we'd better be glad Chewie found this transmitter they stashed in 3PO's guts. At least he won't be passing on any more information to them. He dropped the sphere to the deck and thoroughly ground it to dust with a foot. Chewie finished making the last connection to the droid's neck. He switched on the machine. It hummed and chattered. The lights in 3PO's eyes flickered, and so did his voice. "Villainous beast," the head ranted. "What are you doing? Take your hairy paws off me, and the rest of you. Vile, nasty, insensitive humans. All of you should be—" Chewie pulled loose a wire. The voice fell silent again. "Thanks, Chewie," said Han. "Why don't you start feeling around inside there? Try to access his memory circuits." The Wookiee took up a long and slender instrument. He inserted it through the neck and far up into the head, then began to probe around like a dentist searching for a hidden cavity. As the instrument touched some sensitive point, an unintelligible yammer of sounds began to pour from the fixed slot of the droid's mouth. Chewie finessed the point around slightly. The sounds gradually changed to understandable words, but still in meaningless jumbles. Then abruptly there came a clear passage. "They've shut down the main reactor. We're doomed. There'll be no escape for the princess this time." "Chewie, hold it there," Leia ordered. "Secret mission?" the voice went on. "What plans? No, I'm not going in there." "You must be talking about the time Darth Vader captured me," Leia said to Han. "When I first met you." "Good," said Han. "Then you got it, Chewie. Keep at it. Try to move him ahead." The Wookiee shifted his probe infinitesimally through the complex circuits. As he did, he hopped along the droid's memories, like a needle skipping across the grooves of a recording, picking up disjointed snatches of sentences. "Shikaki, greetings. We seem to be made to suffer." "Shutting up, sir." "Let the Wookiee win." "No, shut them all down." "R2 has been known to make mistakes from time to time." "That's it." "That's it," said Han. "Think you're moving closer to the present now. Keep it up." "It's not widely accepted, but perhaps if it were, even being a cyborg might be easy to bear," the voice rattled on. "Don't get technical with me, you overgrown adding machine. Why can't the Wookiees celebrate Life Day without Orga roots?" A reference to the holiday special. I did not see that coming. "Oh no, I've been shot. Of course I've looked better, R2. You're playing the wrong message. Disintegrated? Ow, my eye. But, Master Luke, what magic? This is no time for heroics." "He's definitely moving towards more recent time," Leia said. "Start listening closely." "I find that spectacle utterly appalling. Oh my word, we're doomed. Abandoned here like cast-off scrap," the head said in disgruntled tone. "Such a menial lot. Fetching cheap Forganale for Master Solo. Playing the slave. If I had my own way—" Tone suddenly altered to one of alarm. "Oh dear. Mistake. Wrong droid." "Okay," said Han. "You're right up to it. Sounds like he was grabbed. Must have happened when he went off alone at Eskendron City, Chewie." He looked to the Wookiee. "Go on. Try for more, but real slow now. Get all you can." Chewie moved yet more painstakingly. Words flowed again. "I can't tell you that. Such a treacherous act. I won't betray my companions. Oh, no!" This last came out a long, pain-filled scream. Then the voice abruptly cut off. "Must be where the bastards did whatever it was to him," said Han grimly. "Poor 3PO, Leia said in sorrow. "He really must have suffered." "He's just a machine," Han reminded her. "Chewie, go past that. Try to get into what happened after." The Wookiee dug around some more with seeming difficulty. At last a few more fragments were forced out. "We'll send coordinates back," the voice said, very mechanically now. "Darkus, kill senators, destroy peace conference, find the Find the what?" said Leia. "He's fighting the probe," said Han. "Push harder, Chewie. We've got to know more." Chewie bore down. The head sputtered and crackled as if circuits were shorting. The eyes flickered wildly. Then at last phrase was forced haltingly out. "The heart of the Jedi." There was a loud pop, and a blue-white tendril of light flashed up the probe to sizzle against Chewie's hand. The Wookiee bayed in pain and dropped the instrument. A wisp of smoke curled up from the fur of his palm. "You okay, Chewie?" Han asked as the burned creature shook his injured member. Chewbacca snorted and snarled out a fairly long reply. Well, that's it then, Han translated for the rest. Chewie says that any more memory access is being blocked. No fancy programming technique they used on him, though. But can't Chewie erase it? Asked Leia. Change 3PO back? Also real irreversible. Han. Trying to change him would wipe his mind completely. Sorry. So am I, she said sorrowfully, then steeled herself. But we can't think about that now. There's something more vital. I guess so, said Han. What did that mean? Find the heart of the Jedi? Tarkus said something about the Force not being a factor much longer, called Leia. If that were true, then stopping the peace process would make sense, Palladian put in. Should Tharkus be able to overcome the threat of the Force, he would gain all the support he'd need. Well, it's only the Jedi who really know how to use the Force, said Han. So to destroy its threat, I guess he'd have to destroy them too. But they only know of one Jedi, said Leia with growing alarm. That would mean he's after... Her gaze locked with Solo's. They said the word together. Luke!